Welcome to Canada's podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to Canada's Podcast Network. I'm Phil Bliss, a business visionary coming today from Toronto. At Canada's Podcast, we talk to entrepreneurs who are making it happening here and across Canada. So today, I'm pleased to say that we're going to meet with Henry Rojas. Henry is a Sheridan College graduate and in architectural technology. He started his career as an architectural draftsman and then moved on and established his company in Mississauga in 2018. And we'll find out more about it right now. Welcome, Henry. So, Henry, welcome. And as I normally do, tell us a little bit about who you are, your entrepreneurial journey so far, without getting into every little detail, why you started it and where you're at today, if you like.
Definitely. Well, thanks again for bringing me onto the show. So how I started my career was back in 2017, graduated from my diploma, Sheridan College, got into the work field, started with more of the custom home division, right? More on the artistic and creative side there. From at that point, I spent about a year in that firm, learning as much as I can from the owners. Learning to understand that I was very interested in the architectural portion of custom homes. Everything's new, everything's creative, everything's freedom. From there, I expanded my knowledge and just went to more the commercial space. So I was doing renovations and design work for a company that specializes in Tim Hortons renovations, actually. Right, I spent a couple months there, learned as much as I could. It's more of a repetitive work, right? So there's only so much you can absorb in that sort of work field. From there, I moved on to more of the apartment buildings type of field, right? More design and renovations type again, trying to learn as much as I can on that sort of style of that industry level. And then finally, I went more to the investment side. So my journey started with different sort of industry, unique niche, right? Trying to learn as much as I can from everybody I can learn from in a span of like 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
It's after that time that I decided to, all the knowledge I had was decided to start my own business, right? A couple of years into the field, I learned as much as I could, figured, I can actually expand this, do my own type of work, make my own decisions and grow my own company with everything I have.
Okay. But, why become an entrepreneur? I mean, it's full of risk,
Yeah. No, definitely. There's a lot of risk.
Yes, everyone wants the rewards of an entrepreneur, but if you've read anything, the risk is much higher than the reward.
No, 100%. There's always so much risk when it comes to with this entrepreneur business. It's not a stable job. You're not working 9 to 5 for sure. There's a lot more stress and headaches, but it also comes with its own fair share of rewards as well, right? The way I saw it was that if I'm going to spend all my energy, time, and effort on something, I might as well be spending it on my own type of practice, right? My own way, my own style, right? That was how I saw it. And even with my own level of freedom, you're working 9 to 5, most jobs, but sometimes you have to work late at night or on the weekends at some firms. In my case, if I'm going to be doing that, I might as well make sure I build up this sort of snowball effect, right? That all my time and effort was going towards something that I enjoy doing. So that's how I saw it. And the risk didn't really hit in too much as I enjoyed what I was doing on a daily basis.
So you're still, I would say a fairly young entrepreneur. What would you say were the critical success factors that someone just starting out needs to consider?
So definitely, that's a good question. And for sure, it's relationships, right? Your relationship with your consultants, with people that you work with in the industry, you have to make sure you build a solid foundation with them, right? It's not easy at first. You got to make sure you put in that 100%, 120% effort into that, making sure like both sides feel like they're working together, right? It's not one overrules another. It's not one that's a boss of another. You got to make sure you're a 50-50 partnership here. You're working together for the same goal. right? And that really creates a foundation and for the empire that you're creating here.
Okay. And, the other thing I think people kind of come into is in their early stages, how can I finance it? How can I get it going? How can I do that? Do you have any insights for people on that front that they're sort of just in that where you are in terms of the first steps from being employed to being carrying the load, if you like.
Definitely, for sure. So by nature, I've always been saving my money, right? I've always saved it, invested in it, making sure I had some sort of savings just in case the worst comes to worst. That's just who I was normally, right? It was only until I started this whole architectural journey that I had large reserves just in case the worst came to worst, right? Normally, how I started my business was I was doing some projects on the side after 9 to 5, building up that empire from 6 to 10 and slowly building up the company's reserve, as well as keeping up with my own personal reserve. So at the time where I finally reached out that I could sustain my own lifestyle for about a year with my own personal and company's reserve, it was at that point I decided to go on my own and say, let's try this. Let's see how it works. If it works, that's great. If it doesn't, I still have a year to kind of see how it results in.
That's good advice. Basically, you make sure you've got that kind of cushion, basically, because it doesn't work out often as quickly as you think. Let's put it like that.
Right.
So, what does a typical day look like for you as an entrepreneur? I mean, how is it different now, say, than when you were working for somebody? Or is it? Maybe it isn't.
Right. So definitely on my day-to-day basis is more problem solving, right? When you work for somebody else, they're the ones solving the problems. They're the ones telling you what to do. They're the ones saying, like, this is my decision. This is what we have to do, even though you don't agree with it most of the time, right? Everybody has their own priorities, right? As I see my day-to-day life, I see like we need to set priorities to different things because this will result in a greater outcome than something else, right? Some of the team members I have here, they want to do something, but that's not going to give us the best result at that time. Where it's me, where I decide this is what's best for the company. This is what we need to do. This is where we need to focus in, right? So that's more of my day-to-day life, just problem solving, making sure everything's rolling correctly and making sure it's efficient at the end of the day.
Okay, interesting. You're in Oakville, or at least you went to school in Oakville. I mean, is sort of GTA a good place to do what you're doing? I mean, is that part of the reason for success, you think? Would it be harder in Calgary or in Saskatoon or something like that?
Well, being here in the GTA really does help in terms of like everybody's renovating, everybody's doing their own projects, everybody's a little bit different. For sure, there's a lot of work here. And we see it now the last couple of years where there's a lot of firms building up the same level as me, if not greater, right? But in other locations, I haven't explored that far yet, but I did hear, Vancouver and, Halifax, those type of areas they're booming and they do need some sort of designers or, firms like us to be there to support them as well. But in terms of like area, I would say it really has helped the business, but we're not just focused in the GTA. We've expanded down south, more up north, right? We take our business almost anywhere as long as the opportunity presents itself, right? Because, interesting projects happen to happen outside the GTA, right? There's just a little less competition, but more interesting projects out there.
I mean, you're basically in the real estate side of things, and obviously in the development side of things. I mean, it's been a strange 3 years, and lots of new trends have evolved. Is that the way it's going to stay? Do you think? I mean, I'm sure lots of people are thinking that.
No, definitely. The last 3 years have been pretty unique in the way that things have been going through, right? As of now, like we see the interest rates going up, house prices going down, right? And people just trying to see their options, right? Either stay renovate or sell and buy new, or just live with parents and then start building their own custom home, right? I've seen all the different scenarios, and people are just making their decisions now, right? Whereas if they decide to stay and renovate, it provides more business to firms like myself, or they decide to, sell and create their own home, that also provides business and, expands the economy itself, right? So especially in all these undeveloped areas.
So you've been doing what you've been doing for about 3 or 4 years. Is there something you would do differently that maybe you learned and say, I wish I hadn't done that?
No, there's a couple of things for sure that I've definitely made mistakes on that I should have done better, right? I would say mostly it's like, in terms of my career base, it's more the commercial work that, wasn't really there per se. More the corporation, more of the repetitive stuff they had to keep doing on a day-to-day basis, not expanding my knowledge as much as I should, right? The biggest issue nowadays, even with the new generation coming onto our field, is that they're so limited with experience. All they have is mostly staying at the same office work day to day, 9 to 5, 365 days a year, right? They're not expanding their knowledge and or their career, because there is a difference between career and job here, right? They're staying at the same status quo versus learning and expanding their knowledge into actually becoming an entrepreneur, right? In my case, I just expand to different companies in different industries to learn as much as I can in such a short period of time.
I'm big on mentorship. Is there anything in terms of your side of things, your progress, where you've been given a bit of advice and it stayed with you and you keep using it? Is there something there on that front?
No, definitely. I've had a couple of mentors in the past. I would say number one mentor was, a good friend of mine. He's actually my godfather of mine too as well. He runs a construction company, and him and I have been working for the last couple of years.
Right.
It's always we always talk about this whole snowball effect. Yeah. Until like right now, it's the biggest legwork. Right now, it's a growing pains. Right. Right now is the most difficult time of your life. But in 10, 15, 20 years, you're really going to thank yourself for doing all that work now versus like your average person spending their monies, enjoying life, enjoying their 20s, doing whatever they want, right? Your 40-year-old self is really going to thank you for this. So this is where I keep pushing myself, because it will provide results.
Our entrepreneur is weird. Do you like your friends, or are you different than your friends?
I'm so much different than my friends who enjoy their enjoy life overall. Yeah. They like to travel. They like to party. They like to do a lot more things than I ever do, right? My passion is like this business, right? Yeah. Being an entrepreneur, trying to enjoy the freedom, trying to build something from the ground up. Because it literally is, when you're an entrepreneur, you start with one block and you slowly build your way to becoming an empire eventually, right? So in that regards, there's no way locally to talk to in my own friend group. But there's people just like my godfather, like I mentioned, that has advice, and people he surrounded himself with. And people we meet up sometimes in, some of our meetups in architectural firms or investor meetups as well. Similar-minded people who are looking to become financially free or like independent or entrepreneurs.
If you had to pick one word to describe yourself, what would it be?
Determined, for sure. Determined is how I see myself on a day-to-day basis. I'm determined to do this. I want to get this done. I will stay focused. I will get the results. That's who I am by nature.
And what in terms of where you're at, I mean, you obviously enjoy being an entrepreneur, but what's the best thing about being an entrepreneur? Is it just making more money, or is it some other thing, And
for sure.
Not that there's anything wrong with it being just making more money. I'm not saying that shouldn't be it.
No, the making money is okay, for sure. It does help, pay bills and such, right? But it's more of creating something that's always been intriguing, right? Creating something from the ground up. Like this is Henry's creation from the ground up. This is his way, his standards, his quality, right? Right. That's why I want to make a brand to my name type of thing. You work with Henry, this is what you get. right?
Okay.
Same thing when you buy from somebody else, like Apple or somewhere else, right? You buy the brand because you appreciate it, you respect it, you want that.
What's the greatest challenge you've faced in the business so far that you've been able to overcome, hopefully?
I've been able to overcome a couple of things, but right now, my current, obstacle right now is just scaling, right? Scaling is the biggest issue to see, like how far you can reach, how many people will get to know you, because you can have the best product in the world, but if nobody knows you, it's just not going to do anything, right? You have to spread the word, spread yourself, try to make sure everybody knows who you are, type of thing. In this whole industry that everybody's on social media, everybody's the same sort of person. How do you make yourself different? And how do you prove that is what we're struggling in, but we're getting there. One example is like trying to go meetups, right? Making sure you're having this, human connection with people, because sending you an email or a call or cold calling you is not going to work. It doesn't work. It's never really worked. You got to meet somebody face to face, talk about business, talk about your similarities, and then take it from there. Make it more human than robotic.
Yeah. When we hit things that we don't expect, I have a process. Do you have a process that allows you to overcome them? Or do we just hit them as they come, kind of thing? I'm just curious.
So, like, when it comes to like obstacles, right, I definitely take my time to evaluate our options, right? There's never just one answer. You have to see what sort of options and are there that you can do, A, B, C, D, which one gives you the best results. I take my time into looking over it over a couple of days. Maybe I take the night to sleep on it, and then I come up with an answer the next day or so, right? That's how I kind of tackle these obstacles.
With that in mind, what's the best piece of advice you've received?
In terms of the obstacles? Right?
In terms of just business advice.
Well, the best advice I can give to like other similar minded people like myself is like, do the extra work, run the extra mile, right?
Yeah.
If you have to work longer, you have to work later, right? It's all worth it.
Is it? Okay. Let's move on to some more fun ones. Those are a bit serious, if you weren't doing what you're doing now, what would you be doing instead?
Oh, 100%. I'd be doing some sort of high-level investments. For sure. I've always taken an interest in investment, firms, investment in general, stocks, real estate. That's always been a secondary hobby of mine, actually.
Okay.
Right. So that's what I would be technically doing.
Are you a morning or a night person?
More of a morning person, get up at 5, 6 a.m. in the morning and start my day. Medium black coffee in my hand and start working. Just enjoy the quiet peace of mind before the day starts, right?
Yeah. What's keeping you up at night these days?
Just making sure to see like everything's on the roll, everything is going according to plan. I'm a planner. I like to plan things out, but if something doesn't go as planned, it bothers me for the rest of the night, for sure, right? But you gotta learn to live with it and try to understand that nothing goes everything accordingly to plan and adjust accordingly, right? So that's, if anything, that's what's keeping me up at night sometimes.
Okay, that's interesting. In terms of the business itself, you explained it a little bit, but without being too promotional, just talk about a little bit about why Rogus Empire of Design versus the competition. On what do you do on the design side that makes it happen for others?
No, so definitely when you're comparing us with somebody else, the three things that most companies usually do is like they try to make profit, they try to provide you with high quality service, and then they try to provide you high quality drawings, at least in our industry. Out of the three, most companies can only really do two. Like it's impossible to do all three. It's just not feasible. You're going to lose out on something. How our company operates is that we like to provide 100% customer satisfaction. We try to provide the greatest customer service, respond back as soon as possible, and of course, provide high quality drawings because our work will provide results. That's how I see it. If we don't make money on this project, I'm okay with that because I want to make sure at the end of the day, you're satisfied with our service and our work shows for that. And that's what makes us a little bit different than our competitions where they're trying to make an extra buck or two, or they're trying to, negotiate that or try and rework it a little bit there.
Okay, we actually, just let me, 2 seconds. So, you've been very good. You haven't been overly promotional or anything like that. But I'm just interested, in terms of the architectural design side, what makes Rogers somewhat different than the competition?
For sure. So there's usually 3 things that a company usually focuses on in their business: the profit, the high quality drawings, and the customer service. Mm-hmm. Most of the time, most companies can't really deal with all 3 of them. They have to, try to pick 2 out of 3 or try to manage whichever they want to do it. How we want to focus on is we provide the best customer service and the best architectural, drawings, the high quality stuff. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, profit, if I lose out on $1 or 2, doesn't really matter because I can sleep better at night knowing that we provide our best service and the best drawings that we physically can do. That's how we see it, and that's how we think that we're a little bit, different than most companies are, right?
Good. I think, it's, we're hitting our time mark, I see. How can people get a hold of you? If they, what's the best route to that?
So the best route right now for us would be Instagram. You can find us at Rogers Empire, one word. Mm-hmm. You can DM us there for any questions, concerns, or any ideas you may have. Because right now we're doing a program right now where we're just mentoring other designers, other business designers, right? Trying to give them free advice. Mm-hmm. Right now, trying to help out as much as we can. But I'm trying to give back to the community here. Right. So it doesn't bother me if you have a question or 2 they just want to pick a brain at.
Okay. Henry, thank you very much for coming on Canada's podcast. It's been great meeting you. Hope you enjoy it.
Perfect. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.